Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 30th day of January, 2019. Well, the 30th is a 3 energy, so that is, or numerology, so we're looking at energy that is catalytic. So it's a get something done day. Mind, body, spirit in alignment. Triplicities. If you're going to work magic today, you might want to wait. This is one of those unfavorable days, again, that we talked about yesterday. But if you throw caution to the wind and allow Sagittarian energy to move you in places you probably ought not to go, then focus on communication rituals or spells or what have you that involve interactions with others. Make use of Mercury's influence today. Wisdom, truth, illumination, intuition. Although intuition's often on Monday, but it's also air element, so. But it can also be water element. Usually intuition is more aligned with water, but with clarity being what it is, usually that with air though, that's more intellect, and so it's like you're going to reason the whole thing out instead of intuit it out. But it's part of it. Well, the dentist went well, and I have so much more to do. It's insane and costly. Fortunately, I have insurance, but it's not going to cover all of it. In fact, it's not even going to overall cover half of it. So this is going to be a very expensive endeavor for us. But that's what happens when you get older. You get older crowns and they've got to come out. They got to be replaced. You got to get root canals. And it's just time, a lot of it. So I'm just in that weird window where everything's come and due at once. So fortunately, we can do it. But, when you get to our age, you start to get conservative about how you spend your money because, if you don't have a big 401k, which we don't, then, you're going to have to be really savvy how you make it in your golden years in this country because we don't do what other countries do for people. Our Social Security is not very much, and it's always at risk of being taken from us by the Republicans in this country. So, they want to take away Medicare. They want to take away all of the social programs that our tax dollars go for. I don't know. I don't understand why everything has to center around the rich and giving tax breaks to the rich so they can get even richer. So, it'll trickle down. You remember that trickle down economics from Reagan's time? It was all BS then. It's BS now. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. And whatever they think they're doing now, oh, good Lord. And then I read, because I don't follow him on Twitter, I blocked him. I read in an article that he's calling out the Intel chiefs that met with the Senate Intel Committee yesterday, saying they need to go back to school because everything they said was a lie. But see, everything they said disagrees with him. See, there's reality, and then there's Donald's fantasy of things. And if people don't start waking up to that, why are the troops amassing on the border? Why are they sending more? Because now they're talking about starting some war with Venezuela? Is that why? Is it really because of the so-called border crisis that doesn't exist? Or is it really because of what he wants to do in Venezuela? Yeah. He has to go. Hurry, Mr. Mueller. Anyhow. I shouldn't check the news, should I? I just should stay offline and not even look. I listened to the Intel chiefs, a lot of the stuff they couldn't really talk about in open session. They had to wait for the afternoon session where it was private. So we didn't get to hear a lot of the answers that we needed to hear yesterday. And so I don't know. Hopefully the Intel committee will be able to talk about some of it at least, figure out what they can say without, affecting classifieds, this and that. I mean, clearly Donald doesn't care about such things, but the rest of us do. So anyhow, let's count 13 and see what's going to happen today. Is this going to surround him, or can we get away with another one about us like we did yesterday? So, well, the Hermit. Now, this is the ninth card of the Major Arcana. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna angle it back so I don't have that light line through it from the candles. But anyway, you can see. We'll put it there so you can see his lantern. He's up on a snowy peak, and he's overlooking the world essentially. He's gone into a retreat mode. He's trying to separate himself from the rest of society so that he can block out the noise and seek only spirit. So he goes way up to the highest mountaintop there, and he's got his lantern with the Merkaba in the center of it, the lighted Merkaba, our soul vehicle. He's got his staff straight in alignment with spirit. You can see that he's got a white beard and white hair, so that indicates wisdom. He's old like me. Anyhow, but basically he's the sage. He's the wise teacher, and he's the one that goes and goes off on retreat and goes to align to then bring back the message of spirit to the rest of everyone else. These days it's I'm going to draw another card, see where this is really going. But this is about Hecate energy, the goddess Hecate. It's about meditation and listening to silent counsel, receiving divine wisdom. The creator personified. One thing I wrote down here, and that's why I wanted to look at my little grimoire here, my little notebook. First, fully male aspect. I don't know about that. Maybe. I've not ever been able to really have that resonate. I don't look at this in terms of male, female. I look at it's why I don't look at reversed cards or reversed runes. I look at everything as a whole, so all things contained within the whole. So what we might consider the duality of masculine and feminine, I take that into account in the whole card and in the rune itself. I'm just not into the whole reversals. I don't think it makes sense to do that. You can, and it's a way that tarot readers will do this. If they do a spread and they're all mixed up, they're not all going the same direction, then they look at it as a reversal, as the opposite of the intended, interpretation. And so you can do it that way. I just don't. It's just my way of doing it. So I know other people do it this way, but again, a lot of people like to see those reversals because they want to read this in I don't know, maybe like in a story-like fashion. And so they want to definitely see, okay, we're definitely looking at the opposite here. And so there's no question. And so they like maybe a little more fixed look at things, maybe, or something that maybe they can rely on a little more. So there's less subjectivity. It's more specific, in other words. So I just don't. So that's just me. But yeah, it's about what gives light to the world. And of course, that just comes from spirit, doesn't it? Let's draw another card and see why it is. Maybe we can get an idea of why the hermit has done his retreat again here and withdrawn from all the chaos that surrounds him. I haven't used this deck in a while, so it's not shuffling very well. Sometimes they just get sticky when they sit together. So. Well, we have the Ace of Swords. If I don't quit throwing stuff on the floor here, maybe we can actually look at it. Here we go. All right. This is a really cool card. I like the Morgan Greer deck, not only because it's essentially the same, it's the same style, but it's a little bit different. But the same components that the Rider-Waite has, it's just a little more colorful. And, as opposed to, where's my Rider-Waite? There it is. You can see, this was from yesterday. You can see that there's a satin look to this particular version of it. I actually like this version of the Rider-Waite. I've got several of them. There's also the universal weight and all of that, but I like the patina on these cards, this particular deck. I just like it. And that's why I've been using it. But you can see the difference, yeah, they're different cards, but still, this is a whole lot more colorful. And I just thought that I would use it today simply because, it's getting kind of gloomy again outside. Maybe we can influence that and get the sun to come back and get it to be a little warmer. I think February is going to be cold, though, is what it seems like. Maybe we will get a little bit more of a winter here. But I love this card. The aces in any deck, they basically contain the power of the entire suit within that one card. And it's the genesis of that particular element. So in this case with swords, we're talking air again. And we can see the hand comes out from the clouds. Different colors on the clouds, though, aren't they? You see, I love the use of the white roses, particularly in this deck, but the red and white roses are just beautiful. You see the garlands up above. You see the crown. Now that actually denotes spirit, so not royalty. So, and we're seeing that it's pointing up to spirit. So it means that we obtain our wisdom, our intellect, all of that comes from spirit. It's just that when we get involved here, the ego runs amok, and that's where we have our problem. So here with the Ace of Swords, though, we have the genesis of new ideas. And so the Hermit is up there clearly in full clarity, seeing life as it is. And it's the whole idea of the formulation of pure thought at its most, at its most spirit informed, I would say. That's the purest of thought, isn't it? When it's only coming from spirit, when it's not happening in reaction to other people. So basically, this is a card of creation in a way, as opposed to reaction. Right now, it's not interacting with anything. It just is, okay? And it is the present moment, okay? So it can represent that. It's basically telling us living in the present moment and not allowing past and future concerns to cloud that clarity of the present moment. This is about karmic balance, triumph over all odds. It almost is the sword of the magician or the magus or magus. So it's the great sword. Basically, it's the casting of intention, okay? The intellectual side of intention. You're talking will, emotion, and intention. Okay, so air, fire, and water. Well, that's the fire. However I said it, fire is will, water is emotion, and air is intellect. So anyhow, that's what you're doing when you're invoking. So you're combining all of that together into one thing. I just got to do another one here. I won't shuffle as much, though. So he's gone on retreat. He's seeking alignment with source presence to formulate new thought, new ideas. I mean, you have the synchronicity of alignment there. If you add the two cards together, 9 and 1 is 10, or 1 is new beginnings. So there's definitely something new happening there. So you can see some synchronicity there. Well, here's another swords, 4 of swords. This is also another form of retreat. It's about healing one's mind, basically. Just too much has come in on us and we've needed. So you really see that reinforces the theme of retreat and alignment with the hermit, doesn't it? Because we need something new to happen. We need new ideas. We need a new perspective. That's really what this card is telling us, that we go and you know, the warrior is, the knight is just laying there. He's not dead. He's just thinking, you know, he's taking a nap, or he's dreaming about, you know, what to do about something, maybe letting his thoughts settle so that maybe something new can take hold. So maybe that's what we're looking at today. If you're kind of feeling like you're on the precipice of something new, maybe you're thinking about a new direction in your life, maybe taking a new job or moving or something, you're going to do something new. You've been doing the same thing all, you know, and maybe you're planning something different to happen. Basically, what the reading is telling us is that take time out for inner reflection before you do anything, and make sure that you're doing what you're doing in clarity, full clarity of what the the potential outcomes could be, what challenges you might have to endure along the way, or or uh, or maybe it's just complete smooth sailing, and you see that it's like, wow, let's go for it, you know. So this is just a time to let your thoughts settle about all of it, and really be certain, align in source presence, let spirit inform the process, and allow for that to inform your way forward. So, you know, this could also apply to what's happening in our society, in our country, but let's just try to keep this on our, because clearly we need a different way forward. You know, you can't the next day slam your intel chiefs and say that they need to go back to school simply because they're saying things that you're saying the opposite of. The intel chiefs know what they're talking about. That's why they're intel chiefs, okay? It's not fake news. What they're telling everybody is true. And then for him to come out today and say that they're idiots, really? No, not these. So Norn Rune. This is the friction within. It's a fire element rune. It's the friction within to make something happen. And given that we have a catalytic day here, a 3-day, that's what I was talking about. This is the 10th rune of the Elder Futhark, and so it's a 1 energy, so new beginnings. It's also about self and self-actualization and self-esteem and, you know, things like that. But it's the inner friction within to do something, you know, to make something happen, to make a change, to start something. So after we have aligned, and, you know, both with the Hermit and also with the 4 of Swords, okay, once we've aligned and we've let our thoughts settled, we come upon something new, right? And the Ace of Swords is such a positive card. I don't care what deck it's in, it just resonates with me. But basically what Nafis is telling us is we have the ability to make this happen. Whatever it is that we need to do, we have the ability to make that happen. So that's kind of cool. And being that it's a new beginnings rune also, you know, with the numerology of 1, that tells me that if we allow our thoughts to settle and to invoke spirit in whatever we're doing, you know, kind of pushing ego to the side, because ego is what screws things up, basically. If we allow that to take hold, then clarity and purpose and direction and all of that are clear. So, and we lack the we don't lack, we possess the will with Nafis to make all of it happen. That inner friction, the feeling of I feel compelled to do something. It's not just I want to do something, but I feel compelled to do it, which is understand what that is. That whole feeling compelled. I compel you. I've done that a time or two. Anyhow, I guess that's it. I think that's pretty cool, though. I like that the focus. I've sort of been kind of focusing my intention to try to make these a little more personal. I realize that they've been pretty political of late, but unfortunately, we're talking about a divination here. And the divination really applies to everything under the sun, not just individuals. And so it can mean a collective, it can have a collective meaning. And given all of the nonsense that's going on in our country, it makes sense that a lot of this stuff aligns with it. It's going to. But I really prefer to simply have a personal focus and how this, can help us in our own personal lives and get us through the day and all of that in a way that's successful and that we're happy and that we can live in joy and all of that and live in the present moment. So and that's also a running theme, I think, of all three cards and the rune as well is living in the present moment and experiencing everything from that perspective versus something subjective either from the past or future that's not happening in the present moment. We give that meaning that maybe it either won't have if it's a future thing we're worried about, or that it simply does not have if it's a past thing that we're worried about. So yeah, I think the theme today also is living in the present moment. So I think that's pretty cool as well. So hopefully we're going to see a trend that way. It'd be nice to just sort of get back to the mundane issues in life, wouldn't it? And not have to worry about all this chaos and drama that could upend our lives at any given moment. So, we don't want to have to live in that kind of high alert, all of the time. For survivors in particular, we already live on high alert. And so for us to have to then, get a double or triple dose of this every single day is really tough. It would be just nice if things could calm down and just, I just want to deal with the fact I got to get dental work, and okay, what pot of money am I going to take that out of? Am I going to put it on credit? You get to our age where you own your home and you own your car and all of that. You don't do credit anymore, right? So much unless it's a credit card. And so then you have to go buy something your credit rating isn't all that great because you've been paying cash for everything, So what I do is I make sure that I keep, credit going on a credit card so that I don't have that problem. And so that's probably what I'll do. I'll spread it out a little bit, but and then just make payments on all of it. But so, I mean, you can do it, but at the same time, you don't want to at our age to overextend yourself either, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to crop up. And you don't have jobs anymore that can help you with that, help sustain you through moments like that. So when you live on a fixed income. So, but that's what happens, when you retire. That's just what you cope with. And so you have to be a little bit savvy how you do things. So anyway, it'd be nice to just have to worry about stuff like that, wouldn't it? Like, okay, the price of milk just went up, or did you see what the roast cost today when I bought a roast at the grocery store? Oh my God, we just want to worry about that. Or gee, don't you think you need to cut the lawn? I mean, there's a field back there. We're going to have to cut hay before long if you don't run the lawnmower over it. Things like that. Things that really, might be a source of annoyance for us at times, but they're not life changing. So if we can just get back to those, wouldn't that be nice? It really would. So the last couple of days, it seems like that's what the readings have been about, that we've really been able to apply them to our own personal life. So that's really cool. Hopefully this will be a trend. I actually prefer it because that guy makes me crazy. Anyhow. Check out the blog. The lunar transits are up again. I don't know if I'm going to write anything. I might do something today on the blog because I think I'm going to do it. I've really been thinking about doing that thing on dentists. I have an interesting perspective on this, and it doesn't apply to the one I'm seeing now, though. So anyway, that's a positive. I'm so happy about that. I was really getting to the point where I didn't think I was going to be able to find somebody. So anyhow, I guess that's it then. We'll see you tomorrow, and be good to yourself. Be good to one another. Thank you so much for coming by, and blessed be.